All right, welcome back guys. Welcome back to another video where we are going to talk about the terminal. Now, usually when you set up a new machine, this is the terminal that you see. I'm just gonna Docker into this image here, and this is basically the terminal that you see. And today I'm gonna show you how to make the terminal look like this. We have exactly which path we are on, we have the Git branch that we are on, and we have the time and so much other details as well. Now, the other thing I also want to show you here that you can, there is a couple of things that we are going to install as well. With one that I love is Z, and Z is really cool because Z is basically, think about it like CD on steroids. So if I type Z shorter, it already knows from my history that there was a folder called shorter before, and I jump into that folder right away. I go to home quite a lot as well, so if I do Z tilde, I go back to home right away. So I don't have to go CD dot dot or whatever, all that stuff. The other thing you notice as well here, if I go to shorty here, where's shorty? If I go into here, I can, if I type a command, if I don't finish that command properly, it's in red, and if I do it properly, it becomes in green. This is built-in syntax highlighting, which I find extremely really useful when you're learning some Git commands and so on. And obviously the other thing is basically the history of each command that you have written. And you can see also if I go back here, I have this autocomplete, which is very famous for fish kernel from before. Cool, so that's the kind of the terminal that we're gonna get into, and I'm going to help you turn this terrible terminal into this really good terminal up there. Before I get started, don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know what you think in the description, in the comments below. Now, I've written all the kind of like the steps that we have to do, and you'll see all of this in the description. And there's also, you can view this. I've written like some simple Notion page for you to go through things. Now, this is a Docker image that I am going into and writing all these terminal commands inside there. So it's going to simulate you having like a completely fresh machine. So keep that in mind. Everything that we're going to show you now is going to apply perfectly for a Linux distribution. Mostly just, this is Ubuntu, so other Linux distribution there'll be a couple of changes here and there. And also it will apply to any Mac that you have. So with Mac, there's a couple of things that here will just work out right out of the box. The other thing to keep in mind is that this is actually the Apple terminal. So this is like as vanilla as it gets. It doesn't get any more vanilla like this. And the other thing I also want to show you here is that if I exit now, this actually doesn't run my zsh installation properly because the font is not right. And I'm going to show you how to change that later to make things work well. Again, I'm going to go run bash into the Docker image, and this will simulate a completely fresh Ubuntu installation for you. Now, the first thing we need to do is basically just update everything with ABT to make sure that we're getting all the latest, basically the latest repository for us to install stuff. That's the first thing you need to do. You probably have run this in the past, but I'm just showing you how to do it with a completely fresh installation. Nice. Now, we will need a couple of things that we need to install as well. We need Git, obviously, because sometimes it doesn't come installed. So we need Git, we need curl, and then we need Vim, because later we're going to change some text files. And then we also need some bunch of fonts that we will need to render things properly. And these fonts are called fonts-powerline. So that's what we need for now. So Git, obviously that's Git. Curl, we need that for installing a couple of things here and there. And then we need Vim, because we are going to edit one file, which is going to be zshrc. And then finally, we need the fonts as well. So this is what we're going to install. Let's give it a minute. Now, I want to go back here to show you kind of like an overview of the steps we're going to do. This is what we have run so far, and this is the second one, just installing basic tools. And then I've also included the fonts-powerline right there, so everything is being installed right now. Now, the way we are going to get this really cool terminal is by installing zsh. So zsh is a shell that is different from bash. Everything that you can see here is bash. So this sometimes happens with me. I get this error where I have to run this again. So that happens, just make sure that you run the same command again. So right now we are running bash, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to replace bash with zsh, and then I'm going to also replace, kind of like install a package manager on top of zsh called zsh, and that is where we're going to make our terminal absolutely amazing. So right now we are simply just installing some basic stuff. It's asking me for my time zone. This is probably just because I'm in a Docker, but for now it's fine. If you don't get this, don't worry about it. Now, what I'm going to do now is basically install zsh. And again, this is going to be the basic shell that we're going to replace bash with. So that's the first step, to install zsh. Now we have zsh installed. After this, I'm going to install zsh. Oh My Zsh is the package manager for Zsh that's going to allow us to make this terminal look really, really awesome. Again, very simple. I just type the command here, and you can see already that our terminal is starting to look a little bit better. So this is the standard theme for basically when you install Oh My Zsh. And if I go to the configuration file for Zsh, which is at root command at the root folder as zshrc, you'll see here that the theme at this point is basically Robbie Russell. Again, that's the standard Zsh theme that you can have, and we're going to replace that with a kick-ass theme that will give us everything that you have seen before. Let's do that now, and basically we're going to install something called Power Level 10K theme. And there are other themes as well, but Power Level 10K is really cool because it will have this configuration that will show you how to do things very nicely. So now that I've installed it, I actually need to enable it. So I'm going to vim again into this. I'm going to change the name of this theme to Power Level 10K slash Power Level, if I can type things properly, Power Level 10K. Cool. So I'm going to do this, and then now this doesn't apply because we have to reload our Zsh installation. So let me just source Zsh, and then now I get prompted with this. This is very important. This is basically the configuration wizard of Power Level 10K, and that's exactly one of the reasons why we chose Power Level 10K, because this configuration wizard is going to help you just do things very quickly and get things up and started. Now, this is the first question that you get asked. Do you see a diamond? And obviously we don't see a diamond here. And the reason why we don't see a diamond here is because of the font that we're using in our terminal. Now, I'm going to change the font in Apple Terminal to make this work, but depending on what terminal you have to use, you're going to do some things differently. So I've left this basically link here, and they will go through here. Depending on what kind of like terminal that you're using, you can change it here. And these are the different kind of installations for the fonts and how to change it as well. Now I'm using Apple Terminal. So if you look here, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to open preferences and just change it to Meslow GSNF nerd font. So let's do that, and you will see that it's quite simple. I'm just going to go here. I'm going to change this. I'll search with Meslow. I actually think it's been I'm going to all fonts first, and then change this to Meslow. Boom. And if I close this, and then now I get the right diamond here. And again, this will depend on what terminal that you use, so make sure that you know which terminal you're using and change the font that the terminal is using. Cool, so now we got the font set up, and I'm going to start seeing some of these kind of like icons, and it looks good now. Does this look like a lock? Yes, it does look like a lock. Is it an upward arrow? It is an upward arrow. Everything looks good here. Yes, everything looks good here. That's fantastic. Now, let's stop here. If you see this and you don't see a prompt to ask you which kind of style, that prompt that you want to see, now there's something here that's a bit wrong with the configuration. So now we can fix that by telling Zsh that we are running on a 256 color terminal. So basically what happens is that P10K will detect what kind of terminal that you are running on, and it will try to optimize for that. So right now it's not getting that this is a very good terminal. It's the Apple terminal. It's not really great, but anyway, it's at least it can render enough colors for it to look like that. So I have this here. So basically all you need to do is basically paste this into your zsh command. So you are kind of like basically exporting this environment variable that basically says that the terminal that you have supports 256 colors. So we can do that really quick by running vim on Zsh here. I'm going to go to the end of the file, and I'm going to export term equals xterm slash color 256 color. Yeah, 256 color. Did I get that right? Yes. 256 first? Yes. 256 color. Okay, cool. After this, I'm going to source again, and then I'll run p10 command oh, we haven't done that before, so I can run p10 configure command to go back to that configuration command again. So again, I'm going to run through this. It's very simple. Yes, yes, yes. Everything looks good, and now I get the configuration for the prompt style, and that's what I meant. So make sure that you export this environment variable so that P10K knows that it can actually ask you for that prompt style. Now I'm going to go. This is up to you. Obviously, I'm going to go for classic, and I'm going to go for Unicode characters. This is just the prompt color. I'm going to go for lightest so you can see it in the video. Showing the current time. Yes, I like to show the current time. Again, that's 1. And then this is the separator in between. So I'm just gonna run through this. It depends on what you actually like. I'm just gonna go my preference. It doesn't really matter because I've already set this up before, but it's up to you really. I'm going to go with sharp here and then blurred on the other side. How many lines you want it to be? I like it to be in one line. I'm just gonna try 2 lines for now. And then how do you like to be? Do you like to be separate or disconnected? So between 2 kind of like commands that you have. Again, this is up to you. I'm gonna go for solid now. Do you want any frames? I don't want any frames. Nope, thank you very much. Do you want it to be compact and sparse, very close to each other, or very far apart? I'm gonna go far apart. And I like the icons, to be honest, so I'm going to choose the icons. And then do you want it to be fluent? I like it to be fluent to tell me exactly what's happening and things like that. So it's up to you, but this is basically my preferences. I don't usually enable transient prompts. It's basically that you can do things, basically if you do git checkout, it will do the other things that you need to do in between. I don't like this. I like things to be what I tell it to do. So basically I'm not gonna enable this. Again, it's up to you. So yeah, do this as much as you want. And then at the end of the day, just make sure that you click yes to this, which is apply changes to zshrc. I'm gonna click yes here, and then now I get this command line that looks a little bit different now. So things are starting to look much better. You can see now I get the separator, so I go into CD, I don't know what is happening here. If I go ls, and I'm getting the separator in between, I go into bin, and so on. Now Z doesn't really work so far, and I don't get any syntax highlighting. And the reason why I don't get any syntax highlighting as well is because these are kind of like additions that we have to install. So let's do that now. I'm gonna show you how to do that. Basically, yes, I'm gonna go into this Vim, into this zshrc, and then we need to install. These are actually 2 kind of like plugins that we have to install. Zsh-autosuggestions plugin, and then zsh-syntax-highlighting, and then Z as well. But this comes installed, pre-installed. You just have to enable it. So let's do that. What I'm going to do is, this is the plugins list or array. I am going to enable zsh-autosuggestions, and then zsh-syntax-highlighting, and then finally Z. Cool. So that means I'm adding those plugins. Now these plugins are not actually installed now. So if I go source this, it will just tell me, hey, these plugins are actually not installed. And that's fine. I'm going to install these plugins now. This is just an extremely simple command like this. I'm going to clone this in the right location. So I'm just cloning this into the plugin folder of all my Zish. And again, another one here. This is Zish syntax highlighting. I'm going to copy this, go back here. I clone this, and I should be good to go now. If I source again, then I shouldn't get that error, and then now I'm good to go. Now if I type git, I have autocomplete here, and I also have different kind of like syntax highlighting, whether it's right or wrong. So I go like this, git clone, and so on, and then I can change things and see the history of what I've done. I can also go Z to the history, and I can do this, and it will tell me whatever I want. So yeah, this is it. I think this is how you can do this and get this much better, basically command terminal that actually works for you. So I really hope this. Actually, exploring this, I don't work with. I don't really work with Linux that much, so I don't know what's happening here. CD, are these folders? I actually don't know. Anyway, so basically, this is how you can change your terminal from being an ugly, terrible terminal to being a slightly better terminal in this case. Now, this terminal now looks good to me. That's because we are using the Apple terminal. It's not really displaying things very properly. If you see here, I'm using a Kitty terminal, so you can use Kitty terminal or iTerm, and it actually looks much better. So the choice of your terminal will also make a difference. I like Kitty. Kitty is really cool, and we can do another video on how to set up Kitty to kind of have like this separation and stuff like that, but that will be for a different time, I guess. Thank you very much for listening. I hope this was useful. Like this video if you like it, and if you have any comments, let me know in the comments description, in the comments below. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.